The sun shone brightly over Beverly Hills as Maria Santos, the first black billionaire in the United States, adjusted her custom-made Valentino dress in front of the mirror. That evening was supposed to be the pinnacle of her career, a $10 million charity gala organized to support underprivileged youth. Little did she know the event would become much more than just another high society gathering. The Metropolitan Club gleamed under the Californian sunset, its marble columns casting long shadows over the red carpet. Celebrities, tech moguls, and Wall Street titans paraded through the grand entrance, each handed a glass of champagne worth more than many people's weekly groceries. When Maria stepped out of her Rolls-Royce, something unexpected happened. The security guard, a tall man with cold eyes and an earpiece, raised his hand. "Excuse me, ma'am, but this is a private event." Maria smiled politely, accustomed to misunderstandings. "I'm Maria Santos. I organized this event." The guard's expression didn't change. "Ma'am, I have strict instructions about who can enter." "Maybe you're at the wrong location." Phones emerged from the crowd as people began recording. Some whispered, others openly stared. Maria stood there, feeling the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders like a heavy mantle. What happened next would not only shock everyone present, but also spark a conversation that would reverberate across the nation. Maria took a deep breath, keeping her voice steady despite the tension. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor." The guard touched his earpiece, murmuring something. Moments later, the event manager appeared. Thomas Brighton, a man Maria had personally hired months earlier. "Ms. Santos," Thomas said, his voice dripping with feigned concern, "there seems to be some misunderstanding. The guest list is quite specific, and I don't recall—" "I signed the contract with you," Maria calmly interrupted. "I paid for this venue. I chose the menu you're serving tonight." The crowd had grown larger. Among them, several board members shifted uncomfortably, recognizing their CEO. A famous actress whispered to her date, "Isn't she the one who was on Forbes's cover last month?" Thomas cleared his throat. "Perhaps we could discuss this privately?" "No," Maria replied, her voice ringing out over the now silent crowd. "I think this needs to be witnessed." She took out her phone, opened an email, and displayed the screen. The contract for the Metropolitan Club appeared, with her signature clearly at the bottom, along with proof of the $1.2 million payment for the venue. Thomas's face turned red. The security guard looked increasingly uncertain. "Ms. Santos, there must be some mistake," Thomas stammered. "The only mistake," Maria said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "is assuming what a billionaire should look like." The silence that followed was deafening. But Maria wasn't done. That moment of humiliation was about to become something far more powerful than anyone could have imagined. Maria's voice echoed through the crowd as she made a call on her phone. The evening breeze had picked up, making her designer dress ripple as she stood firm and determined before Beverly Hills elite. "Full cancellation," she ordered on speakerphone. "And Sarah, make sure to record this call for documentation." Murmurs spread through the crowd. A Silicon Valley billionaire tapped furiously on his phone. A well-known actress discreetly dabbed at her tears. The Le Petit Buffet, cancel. The string quartet, the floral arrangements, everything. Maria's voice remained steady. Transfer all the funds back to the foundation's account. Every single cent. Thomas Brighton's face went from red to pale. "Miss Santos, please, let's discuss this calmly." "Calmly?" Maria turned to the growing crowd, her voice filled with conviction. "Let me tell you what's reasonable. I built my company from nothing. I started in my grandmother's garage, worked 18-hour days, earned every penny. I made my first million at 25. By 30, I was on the Fortune 500 list." She paused, letting her words sink in. A group of young entrepreneurs in the back nodded, recognizing the story that had inspired their own journeys. Tonight wasn't supposed to be about me, she continued. It was supposed to be about giving back. $10 million for youth programs, scholarships, mentorship. But now, we're going to do something bigger. Maria opened her banking app. The crowd watched, phones recording as she began typing. Behind her, several board members whispered urgently to one another. $20 million, she announced, showing the screen to the nearest cameras. That's how much I'm transferring right now to establish the new Face of Success initiative. A young reporter stepped forward. Ms. Santos, what exactly will this initiative do? Maria smiled, but it wasn't her usual warm smile. It was the smile of someone about to change the rules of the game. First, we're buying this club. She turned to Thomas, who began to protest. The Metropolitan Club has been an exclusive venue for decades. Well, guess what? Exclusivity just got a new definition. Maria pressed another button on her phone. I've just instructed my legal team to start the acquisition process. The offer will be 3 times the market value, non-negotiable, and it must be completed within 48 hours. The club's chairman, who had arrived moments earlier, stepped forward. Ms. Santos. Save your words, Maria said, raising her hand. This club's discriminatory practices end tonight. But this is bigger than a venue or an incident. She turned back to the crowd, her voice full of passion. Every staff member here will undergo comprehensive bias training. We'll establish new protocols, new standards. This club will become a symbol of success based on true merit. Social media was already in a frenzy. The hashtags #Maria Santos and #New Face of Success were trending. News photographers arrived, their cameras flashing like lightning in the dusk. And the remaining 15 million? Maria continued, her voice carrying even farther now. It will fund legal aid for discrimination victims. We'll create an emergency response team, lawyers, PR specialists, corporate consultants. No one will face discrimination alone ever again. A young black entrepreneur in the crowd shouted, "What about small business owners? Those of us still struggling to break through?" Maria's face softened. That will be the second phase. I'm announcing a matching fund program. For every dollar my foundation invests, I'm challenging corporate America to match it. We're not just opening doors, we're building new ones. Thomas Brighton began to retreat, but Maria wasn't finished. "Mr. Brighton," she called, "you're not going anywhere. You'll be part of the solution." The crowd murmured, curious about her intention. "You'll be the first to go through our new training program, and after that, you'll help design it. Nothing teaches better than first-hand experience with our own mistakes." The applause started slowly but soon gained momentum. Phones continued recording as Maria took one last look at the club's entrance and then turned to leave. "Ms. Santos," someone called out. "What about the gala?" Maria paused and smiled, this time a genuine smile. "Oh, we'll still have a gala, but not here. Keep an eye on your inboxes, everyone. In a month, we'll celebrate at my company headquarters. And trust me, this party won't just celebrate success, it will redefine it." As she walked toward her car, the crowd parted like the Red Sea. Her phone vibrated non-stop with messages of support, promises of donations, and media inquiries. But Maria wasn't satisfied. This was just the beginning of a much larger transformation. The next morning, as the sun barely rose over New York, every major news outlet had already covered the story. CNN's headline read, "A billionaire's response to discrimination goes viral. Watch the moment-changing corporate America." Clips of Maria's confrontation played on repeat. Social media metrics exploded. Maria appeared on Good Morning America, wearing a red suit that stood out against the neutral studio backdrop. Robin Roberts leaned forward, fully engaged. "Let's talk numbers, Maria. $20 million pledged instantly. Why that amount?" "Because symbolism matters, Robin. $10 million was our original goal." By immediately doubling that amount, we're showing that addressing discrimination isn't just an afterthought. It's something worth more than our initial mission. Studio screens displayed real-time reactions. Fortune 500 CEOs began making public pledges, but the real story was unfolding on social media. The hashtag #ShareYourStory gained momentum as entrepreneurs broke their silence. Dr. Lisa Chen, in a video with her medical degrees in the background. Last month, a patient refused treatment because they wanted a real doctor. Today, I'm using Maria's legal fund to fight systemic discrimination in healthcare. Marcus Rodriguez, a restaurant owner in Chicago, shared security footage. Watch how these investors treated me in my own restaurant. They asked 3 times if they could speak to the owner, refusing to believe it was me. Maria's initiative isn't just about money, it's about dignity. Corporate phone lines lit up. Human resources departments sprang into action. By noon, major companies announced policy reviews. Maria's phone never stopped buzzing. Between interviews, she received calls from 3 state governors, the Secretary of Commerce, 12 Fortune 500 CEOs, 67 minority business organizations. The Metropolitan Club's board called an emergency meeting at 3 p.m. The vote was unanimous. Thomas Brighton was out, but more importantly, they approved immediate sale of the club to Maria's foundation, comprehensive policy reviews, new diversity goals for membership, mandatory monthly training for all staff. That evening, major universities began mobilizing. Harvard Business School requested permission to create a case study on the incident. Stanford Law School began developing a new course, Corporate Discrimination, Prevention and Response. The story reached Wall Street. Companies with strong diversity programs saw their stock prices rise. Those facing discrimination lawsuits experienced significant drops. Maria's initiative website crashed from high traffic. Applications flooded the system, but the most powerful moment came at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. A group of janitors from a major tech company shared their story. Denied promotions despite their qualifications and forced to use separate break rooms. Within an hour, Maria's legal team was already working on their case. The day ended with a joint statement from 50 Fortune 500 CEOs. "We stand with Maria. Change starts now." When Maria finally went home, her phone buzzed one last time. A message from Thomas Brighton read, "I was wrong. Can we discuss the training program?" 3 months after the incident, Maria hosted another gala. This time, it was held at the newly renamed Unity Metropolitan Club. The guest list was a true testament to diversity, not just in race or gender, but in backgrounds and achievements. Young entrepreneurs mingled with established CEOs. The restructured security team included the same guard who had stopped Maria that night, now retrained and a vocal advocate for change. "This isn't about revenge," Maria told the crowd. "It's about evolution." In 3 months, our initiative has funded over 200 minority-owned businesses. We've provided legal support to 50 discrimination cases, but most importantly, we've changed the conversation. She pointed to a group of young people who had received scholarships from her foundation. These are the new faces of American success. They don't need to change to fit in. We're changing the system to recognize their value. The incident at the Metropolitan had transformed from a moment of discrimination into a catalyst for change. Major corporations began revising their security protocols. Exclusive clubs across the country launched diversity audits. But the most moving moment came when Thomas Brighton took the stage. His voice trembled as he spoke. "I was wrong. Not just that night, but in my assumptions. Ms. Santos didn't just teach me a lesson. She showed me how to be better. Today, I work with her initiative, training others to recognize their biases." Maria Santos's story didn't end with transformed lives or multi-million-dollar initiatives. A year later, Forbes featured a cover story: "The Billionaire Who Turned Prejudice into Progress." The article revealed staggering numbers, but Maria's favorite achievement was simpler. During the first anniversary celebration of the Unity Club, a young black woman in haute couture confidently walked through the front door. The new security team smiled warmly, checking her credentials without hesitation. She was the CEO of a tech startup recently valued at $50 million, one of Maria's first beneficiaries. "When I was stopped at the door that night," Maria told the crowd, "I could have chosen anger. Instead, I chose change. True power isn't in revenge, it's in transformation." If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own story of transformation in the comments. Remember, success doesn't have one face. It belongs to everyone who dares to reach for it.